Hey, hello everyone. Hi Aleem, how are you doing today?
Hi Ajit, good morning. How are you?
Great. Good morning everyone and welcome to our first episode of ASCENT Talks. My name is Ajit Panikar and I'm an ASCENT member from 2012 and I lead Nova, an air conditioning company, and Pure Blue, an IT company in the air conditioning domain. And my co-host for the show is Aleem. Hi Aleem.
Hi Ajit. Hello centers. My name is Aleem. I run a advertising and marketing company in Mumbai called Synapse, and I've been an Ascent member since 2016. Probably some of the nicest 5 years of my life with my trust group. So yes,
Awesome.
uh, yes, Ajit, over
To
to you.
everybody, yeah, so to all our viewers who's actually wondering what Ascent is all about, Ascent is a not-for-profit expression of Harsh Mariwala, who's a chairman was Marico Limited, and his passion to identify high potential growth stage entrepreneurs and enable them to grow their enterprise and enrich their entrepreneurial journey. Launched in 2012, Ascent today empowers more than 700 entrepreneurs across India. Ascent is designed as a unique, powerful, peer to peer platform that leverages the power of the collective through self facilitated groups called trust groups, which enables entrepreneurs to share and exchange experiences, ideas, insights, and create a healthy ecosystem to learn from each other. Today's event, which is a weekly event every Friday at 11 a.m., Ascent Talks showcases Ascent members and their interesting entrepreneurial journey. So let's welcome our guest today, Ali.
So our guest for today is Gauri Devidayal, a law graduate, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, England and Wales. 8 years after she pursued her career in PwC London, she decided to get into the restaurant business with her husband, Jay Yusuf. It was in this journey that she went on to take the Wine and Spirits Education Trust Level 3 exams. I hope I said that right. Uh, she there went on and launched multiple high-end restaurants, some of which it is impossible to get a reservation in unless you know Gauri personally. So this is one of our reasons of inviting her for the show, so that I get one reservation at table and also get some
That's it.
priority and some
That's
discount
it.
and one free
That's
dessert.
it.
I feel so special now. Thank you guys for having me. Good morning, everyone on LinkedIn. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, so to start with, Gauri, do you want to actually tell our viewers what your business is all
Yeah,
about, some of the client solutions? Please go ahead with that. So
yeah.
we get a background, our viewers get a background of what you've been doing.
So, of course, good morning, everyone. I got into the hospitality business about 12 years ago. But prior to that, I'm actually a law graduate and I spent 9 years as a tax consultant with the big four firms and did my chartered accountancy. So, of course, going into restaurants was completely normal. But no, I think it was my husband who was going through a bit of a midlife crisis. And of course, decided that he wanted to open a restaurant, as do many people. And I decided to take a 1 year sabbatical from my job and hopefully not see him sort of sink all his all his savings into the business and bring a bit of my legal and financial expertise. And yeah, that 1 year sabbatical ended up being a rather long one. And 12 years later, I'm still running the business with him. So we are a Mumbai-based F&B group, and we started out with a fine dining restaurant called The Table, which Ali mentioned earlier. And since then, we've grown into having a more casual dining format called Mac Street Cafe, which is the youngest baby in the family. And in between both of those, we also have an event venue where we host chefs from all over the world called Magazine Street Kitchen, and we do cooking workshops, etc. And it's kind of our R&D space. And of course, COVID sort of sprouted a lot of delivery brands for us because that's all we could sort of survive on. And so we have four delivery brands called Max Street Bread Co., which is our bakery. We have Max Street Toppings, which is our pizza brand. We have Iktara, which is our Indian food. And we have Misty, which is our Southeast Asian delivery brand. And we also have a farm out in Alibag called the Table Farm, where we grow a lot of the produce for our restaurants. So as you can see, I'm all over the place in F&B in terms of cuisines and formats, but it's what I do.
Awesome, Gauri. That's really good. But tell me, Gauri, what are the opportunities that this industry has? I know hospitality, though of course we will come to the challenges that the entire industry face, but what are the opportunities that you see that's coming up in your entire industry?
Honestly, so I obviously have the last sort of 12 years as the background to what we've been doing. And when we started out, and that's kind of one of the reasons, we ended up being two people not from the business getting into the business, because we saw so much opportunity with in this industry, right? It was a very it completely untapped as far as standalone restaurant dining was concerned, at least in Mumbai, and I think it's safe to say in the rest of the country as well. Today, it's a completely different scenario. Food is not just a special occasion. Going out rather is not just on special occasions. It's become, a part of everyone's everyday lifestyle. And of course, that feeds off the what the industry has to offer in terms of the number of restaurants out there. And now you see so many other cities around the country also becoming sort of food destinations. You have Goa, you have Bangalore, even Pune is now coming up. So it's great to see that the industry is thriving. There's obviously a lot of opportunity at various price points, and obviously a range of cuisines. COVID did throw up a lot of opportunities in the delivery space, because obviously restaurants were shut down during this time. And so it led to a lot of innovation in terms of delivery cuisines as well as delivery formats. Like I mentioned earlier, we launched a bunch of brands, but we've seen so many brands not do it as a temporary sort of opportunity, but rather launch brands which are here to stay in the delivery format. And I've seen so many home chefs now take the plunge, because during that time they found opportunity to start doing something they may have always been dreaming of but just never had the courage to do. And yeah, so it's a very exciting time for the industry now that we've come out of the sort of the lull, so to speak. And I'm really excited. I think that there's, if you do something well, and you give people value, the world's your oyster, literally, right now.
Absolutely. So, Gauri, very interesting. You said you don't come from the restaurant background. So, when you got into it, what significant changes did you bring about once you took over, or you started something, or you founded something? What are the significant changes that you brought about through your background and stuff like that?
So I think not being from the hospitality, sort of not being formally trained in hospitality it was it had its pros and cons. I think the biggest con was obviously that we learned everything on the job, which can come at a certain price. It takes you a little longer. But the biggest pro, I think, was that we didn't have any preconceived notions of what things should be, but we were really guided by what we wanted it to be. So, sort of complete full disclosure, I can't cook to save my life. I have no interest in cooking, but both Jay and I love eating. We love food. And so we used to dine out a lot around the world. Jay had moved back from California, I had moved back from London. And we love travel, we love food. And we would always come back home to Bombay and be, feeling like there was something missing. And I think that's what, gave us the opportunity to really work with the proverbial blank slate, right? And create what we thought would be our dream restaurant. So I think that we brought that sort of sense of fresh ideas with no benchmark, no sort of prior sort of set ways that we had to follow. And I think so, firstly, we brought a lot of those fresh ideas. I think that was one thing. And then, because it was husband and wife working together, I mean, of course, that comes with a whole host of
I don't know how you
problems.
manage that. I really don't know how you
Trust me.
manage that.
No, not
Absolutely.
Western marriage. It's a miracle, honestly. No, but I think very early on, to be honest, we realized that we had to recognize what we were bringing our strengths to, our respective strengths to the business, and and trust each other to lead the way in those. So obviously I had the legal financial sort of attention to detail. Jay was the crazy risk taker, had these mad ideas, and of course I had to keep bringing him back down to earth and sort of helping him execute that. But we sort of I kind of take a lead on the marketing aspect of the business, and which is very important for not just our industry, but of course any industry. And Jay, heads a lot of the operational part of it. So I think we brought our respective strengths and interest areas to the business. And honestly, because we didn't have any background, we've kind of navigated this business in the way that we feel most right for us. And I think that's really what's worked for us. So even in terms of expansion, we didn't. Everyone expected us to open a second table and a third table over the few years after we opened the first one, and we're still only on the first table. But we have expanded into other, laterally, I would say, into other cuisines, other formats, but they were all leveraging what we had already created. So I think, just the most important thing I would say is that we were not led by any sort of standard route that needs to be taken, but really kind of carved our own path.
It's
Fantastic.
amazing, yeah, absolutely. But Aleem, tell me something. You know what Gauri said? She brings Jay back to ground. Why does that sound so familiar? Yeah, it sounds so familiar
I,
even for
I
me.
wonder,
Yeah,
I wonder, I just can't place it.
they bring us down to the ground, to earth.
I really hope
Amazing,
Jay's not
brilliant.
listening to
They
this.
have a table for you to sit on the floor.
We'll make sure they bring it down. But
Crashing down.
Gauri, but Gauri, tell me something. COVID's been really tough on you guys, right? I mean, especially for the entire industry. So, what are the kind of challenges that you faced here? I mean, in the industry, or what are the kind of challenges that you really face? I mean, typically, all entrepreneurs go through a very difficult time, or the pain points. So, why don't you share with us some of those kind of difficulties that you've gone through?
So, just specifically with regard to our industry or the restaurant industry, I mean, one of the biggest challenges is that it's a very capital intense business, right? You've got these beautiful spaces on the high street usually, and, comes at high rents. You've invested. And while you can do delivery from a restaurant, you can't really convert a complete dine-in business into a delivery business. You're never going to kind of make up those numbers, right? So we were sitting with all this sort of this huge operation, which was completely, which had completely come at a standstill. But the other big part was our team, right? So to run a restaurant, I mean, just to give you some perspective on the table, so it's an 80-seater restaurant, and we have about 100 people, including our centralized functions, for this one restaurant. So that's like, almost like a 1.25 team member to one diner in the restaurant. And that's a huge overhead for a business like ours, but it is also necessary. And the team is so critical to running this business. A lot of people think the restaurant business is about the food and the space and service, etc., but it's really actually about people and the connections that they make with diners, and how they sort of make them feel like coming back again and again. Of course, all the other aspects play a very integral part, but it really comes down to people. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we faced during as well as post COVID is that there was a quite a big exodus from the industry of manpower, because we opened closed a lot of the time during the last 2 years because of the government regulations, and the way COVID was sort of wreaking havoc in the world. And I think a lot of people just had either an epiphany that they no longer wanted to be part of the business or the industry rather, or that they couldn't afford to be in a business that was so volatile at that time. And now that things have opened up and restaurants, new restaurants are sort of surfacing, etc. There's a big fight for manpower between the various people in the industry, and so that's, considering how integral that is to our business, I would see that as being the biggest challenge for us right now.
And Gauri, you've been an Ascent member, almost one of the first wave members out there. So tell us about your journey in Ascent and how has it benefited you? And who are you looking forward to this year's conclave speaker?
So I've been a member of Ascent for about 5 years now, and I actually became a member after attending the conclave in 2017. And it was this email that just popped into my inbox, and I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. Let me go and have a day out of work, a day out of the office, and attend this session. And I intended to go just for the first couple of hours. I ended up staying from the start right to the finish. Loved every minute, and I was like, you know what, I want to be a part of this somehow. It's and I'm not just saying this, because we're here today. I genuinely, this is exactly how it happened. And then a few months later, I became a member. And for everyone listening and who isn't familiar with the format, it's about sort of peer learning. And you have trust groups which are about 10 to 12 people, and you sort of forge a bond with them over the years, where they almost become like a sounding board, a board outside of your company in a way. And I've found it to be incredibly enriching. I think, I know actually, that I've made friends for life, and they, as much as I bring Jay down back to earth, I think they do the same for me. And it's just been, it's really been an incredible journey. And speaking of the conclave, I actually had the opportunity to present in the year after I became a member in the Impact Talks. And I think more than what I spoke about, just the opportunity to speak in front of, like, I don't know how many hundreds of people for the first time was. It's really a pivotal moment in my journey, I feel, because it just gave me the courage to do it and the confidence to do it again. And going back a little bit, sorry, I'm going back and forth, but going back to the trust group, we were talking about COVID. We usually have, pre-COVID, we used to have monthly meetings. During COVID, we ended up having weekly meetings, and they were shorter. And it was a time when nobody knew how to navigate business, right? We were all sort of thrown into this completely new scenario. And having that, having access to this group of people who were all sharing what they were doing on a pretty much real time basis, because we were meeting weekly, meeting virtually, obviously, but on a weekly basis, just gave the sort of reassurance, the courage, the confidence, the support that we all needed to keep addressing how to tackle all these challenges that we were being faced with. Literally everything was changing week to week, and the biggest thing was how to deal with our teams, right, and how to manage that very sort of sensitive and challenging situation. And just having this sort of support structure through my trust group was incredible. And in fact, one of the people in my trust group is one of the is a founder of one of the leading diagnostics companies. And so obviously he had sort of real time access to what was happening on the ground with COVID. And just getting, sort of being able to, like, break off from the news and newspapers and all of that and get the real insight was just so helpful. So I think that Ascent has kind of been a real backbone for me in ways that it probably didn't intend to be, but it has been.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and coming back to the speakers, I was looking forward to Boman Irani because he's from the same school as I am, and I've also shot with him a couple of times, and I think Ajit, you are looking forward to.
I'm looking at Mr. Chandrasekhar, for the Tata chairman, who's
Yeah,
going to be speaking at the conclave. I mean, I really want to. I mean, one though, every Sunday morning you can see him running. He's a marathoner, and that's my passion too. So you can see him
really,
on
I didn't
Marine
know
Drive.
that. Wow.
Yeah, every Sunday morning he doesn't miss it. He's there. You can see him on Marine Drive. all by himself, no guards, nothing. A man is just like any one of us in the city. But I also want to hear about him, how he's actually turned around the Tatas, the whole EV venture, and for all the negativity that was there before him, how did he actually come in and everything suddenly became positive? I really want to hear about that. Who are you looking for,
I
Gauri?
actually am really excited about the Shark Tank lot as well. Who I
Yeah.
believe is an exciting session for them. So you've got Vinita and Singh and Namita Thapar, and of course Piyush Bansal, Aman Gupta, etc. And I'm a big fan of the show, so I'm very curious to see what happens. But I'm also just happy to see like so many women, at the conclave. So it's a great sign of things to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're also looking forward to the women at the conclave. Absolutely, Ajit.
Yeah. so so you know what, Gauri, let's, there's this whole saying, these entrepreneurs, like how you said, people think these guys are guys who are just focused on their aspiration, their work, their scale up, and that's what they do 24 hours. I don't think that's the case. So why don't you tell us what are your personal hobbies, and tell us who you are, yeah? And forget about work, anything other than work, that your personal hobbies, your passion, what is it that you chase other than work?
It's interesting you ask that because I don't always see work and non-work as two very distinct aspects of my life. I think the what we've found ourselves, where we found ourselves as far as our work is concerned, has come very much from a passion, right? And food is something we love. So I sort of, even outside of my traditional work aspects, I gravitate towards food and travel, shopping for food, everything sort of, watching food related things. So I think it's just something that's in my blood. But if I have to sort of tell you what I completely do, which is non-food related, one of the things is over during COVID, I launched a podcast called This Round Is On Me. I figured that everybody was sitting around at home and had all the time in the world, and I realized that if there's any time to do it, it's now. And in fact, Mr. Harsh Mariwala was my inaugural episode guest. And the idea again came from this aspect of not really knowing how to navigate the world during COVID, and wanting to hear from other people in different industries as to what they were doing, what they were going through, how they felt their industry might change as a result of COVID. And so, yeah, and it took a life of its own. It's in its second year now, and I've also launched a second podcast. So I've obviously got addicted to podcasts outside of work, and Jay is always like, "Are you ever coming back to the office?" Because I think I spend more time in the studio than at work. But I love it, and so I have a second podcast called "Women on Top in India," and it really focuses on women entrepreneurs and sort of some of the challenges and successes they've had getting to where they are. And before that, I had a podcast called The Kulaba Cartel, which was about what it takes to make a restaurant in Bombay. So yeah, so
Wow.
as you can see, even though I love podcasting, I had to like weave in my business into that. And then the one place where I literally have no access to anybody, no phones, nothing, is when I'm diving. I love diving.
Wow.
And I don't get to do it as often as I'd like, but it's something I discovered a few years ago, and I used to be really scared of water after watching Jaws, of course. But I did
You
it
should be scared of
once.
sharks, yeah. I mean, if you watch Jaws, you should be scared of sharks. You just got the wrong guy to be scared of.
But she likes the
And
sharks.
yeah, literally, I know the other sharks, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did it once, and then I've been addicted ever since. So yeah.
Fantastic. And Gauri, I met you at the airport once. You were with your daughter, and tell us about your family and tell us about your personal life and things like that. How do you
So
manage
my
your work-life
family and
balance?
work obviously are very blurred because I work with my husband. So I think it's more of a challenge. I think I strive to stay away from him when I can rather than spend more time with him. But of
Now
course,
I
yeah,
know why he wasn't there on that flight.
yeah. We have a 9-year-old daughter together, and she's a bunch of fun and laugh. And she, of course, in our business, the weekends are actually the busiest rather than the weekdays,
Yeah,
which is sort of, I
that's
guess,
right.
converse for everybody else. So often I kind of drag her to work on the weekends, and she spends time in the kitchen. But we she loves food as much as us, and I guess she didn't have a choice. But yeah, it's great fun. So
That's truly amazing. Yeah. Super stuff. And it's great that, you've been able to bring out that work-life balance. And I think that is very important because often entrepreneurship is misunderstood as somebody just chasing his crazy dreams. That's not
I
how it
don't know
is.
if I've
Awesome.
if I've if I've cracked the balance yet, but I think we keep trying, and I'm not the first sort of working mother, so I'm sure it'll all be all right.
Amazing. So we just have about 3-4 minutes before we wind up so that we stick to our 30-minute schedule. But Gauri, it's been fun listening to you. Yeah, it's been fabulous. It's great that you brought out more about your work, about your family and your passions. It's fantastic. And we are going to see you at the conclave, the ASCENT conclave. What do you say, Aleem?
Absolutely looking forward to that. And maybe it's time to wrap up the show, Ajit. And because we're trying
That's
to
right.
keep this just as a 30-minute show, and we don't want to take too much of everyone's time. It's Friday, and we're sure everyone has to wrap up. So thank you for
All
attending,
right.
everyone. And Ajit, if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Gauri. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you very much. See you soon. All right. To all our viewers, just I hope you enjoyed what we've actually brought together to you. We're at the end of the show, and there are 3 things that you can do now. All right. So if you're an entrepreneur and just happy doing what you do, follow us on this LinkedIn page or any of the social medias that you watch, and we'll get you a new story every Friday at 11 a.m. that will inspire you. Enough dose to keep you awake for the next one week and keep you happy. But if you are keen to meet more ASCENT members, remember there are about 700 of them from across the country, then you should be part of the ASCENT conclave on 24th November at Mumbai. In the chat section, you can see the ASCENT Foundation website. You can go there. You can register for the conclave. That's the website. Just go there and register for the conclave and be part of it. The last option, which is the third one, which you can act on, is if you believe the next decade is the era for India and you want to be part of that story and believe that you are growth ready, then you should visit this website, ascentfoundation.in, and apply for membership. Now, here's a disclaimer. This is not an option like you pay a fee and get an immediate membership. It doesn't work like that. Ascent will get in touch with you. They will evaluate you if you are truly a growth ready entrepreneur before they bring you on board. And that could take some time. So that's for today. And we will see you next Friday, 11 a.m., with a new Ascent members story.
And
And
if you enjoyed the show, please send us a like, a comment. I mean, it really encourages us to go ahead. Even if you have feedback for us, please let us know. And share this with your network. It's nice to share these things and show that you are one of the savvy people there.
yeah, absolutely. Just keep writing to us. Tell us because what you would like to hear from the entrepreneurs. So once you write to us, you can put it on this comment itself. We're going to keep watching all these videos, all these comments, these feedbacks, and we'll try to improvise every Friday and try to bring you the essence of entrepreneurship and what Ascent is all about. So just in time, 30 minutes. Thank you very much. Fun, Aleem. See you next Friday,
See you next
11 a.m.
Friday. See you next Friday with another interesting entrepreneur, and let's see what that has to bring for us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. See you. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful week ahead. See you. Bye bye.